Welcome back to When I'm Not Podcasting. Listen, when it comes to online dating and people knowing that we're usually still wearing masks now as I record this episode, it's not mandated to everybody. And for those, we're still wearing them because of the fact that we're trying to protect everybody else. Well, like I've complained about since the start of the pandemic, the fact of trying to date in this climate has not been of any interest to me at all. Because I can't see a woman's pretty face. And I'm not one of those guys that has to go and, like, for me, if I'm going to go ahead and screen and check a girl up and down, sure, I look at a girl's body, but I want to see her face as well. And if I can't see her face, I can't put the whole picture together. And when I go to the mall on a regular basis, I go about once a week still. I know there's still a thing, but there's still a lot of girls that walk around and I see them and I know they're pretty, but I can't see their face. So it doesn't do the same thing for me to go ahead and, try to date it all. And the one thing I notice by looking at the dating apps, because I still do that, I get a little bored and sometimes I'll go on and I'll look at different sites I find it anyway just to see what's out there. Because look, I've rumbled through every kind of dating site you can imagine. I've just been experiencing that because, through my experience of working, I did work a little bit in the adult industry. I did work on some dating content back in the day when it comes to how people date and how they get put together. It wasn't me posting the show, but I produced the content. And I look at these kind of stories, and I always said when I wanted to do When I'm Not Podcasting, this was something I wanted to talk about. I always did want to talk about dating from the perspective because I read a lot of books on self-help. So I've read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I've read all the books. No Mr. Nice Guy. I've read so many different things on alpha dating, on just everything. Texting, and you can just name it. Pickup artists, all of that I've read. And I just have a good perspective of where I'm at because that's what I've done for all my life since I was a teenager was date. I never had relationships. I never got myself into a relationship to stay in one because if I didn't feel comfortable in it, I didn't feel like I was getting what I wanted from it, being selfish and greedy, yes, I got out. And by all means, I would not want to get myself into a relationship right now if I knew I had to meet somebody who was wearing a mask. So Taylor Andrews writes in Cosmopolitan, like, "Hi, we're in a global pandemic. I want to see some fabric over your mouth." Anyways, the story goes like this. She says, there's a new trend called mask phishing that seems to be infiltrating dating apps everywhere. Now, it's absolutely true. So what's happening is you're seeing mostly women, I think all women, because I don't know what guys are doing on the dating apps. I don't look for guys, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a thing where I look at girls that show the masks, but they're not necessarily always putting them on their face. A lot of times I've seen pictures, which are cute now, of girls wearing them, or they're kind of like on them, like underneath the chin, and they're just showing it right there. It's a cute look, I'll admit. I don't mind that at all. But really, the idea of having to see some that do wear masks, like there are some kind of like pose pictures of girls in selfies that do it because they're just kind of like, that's just a thing. And like, fingers up like Richard Nixon or something like that. I was like, whatever. So that's part of the thing. So while you can probably use context clues to guess what it means, the phenomenon is wearing a mask to appear more attractive than you actually are. So the intent is to lure other singles in by hiding your true appearance, which she crosses out, bottom half of your face. And there's even such a thing as one dating app implemented a no mask phishing mandate, which bans users from posting exclusively masked up photos of their profiles. That's good. Listen, she should be wearing a mask in the profile picture. This is, maybe I'm getting this wrong. I should go into the story, shouldn't I? I just can't be suckered in and say, oh, this is just clickbait. Look what they're doing to me. I'm going to skip. No, I'm going to keep treading through this article here. So seeing a photo of you masked up on a dating app is 100% going to make me more likely to swipe right on you than any photo of your abs could. I love women that really just have this kind of thinking. Listen, this is not a normal woman's thinking. Okay, normal women, they don't even care. Like, it might be fine to go and see a guy that has like, a certain body type and, got six-pack abs and stuff. Sure. But again, we already know as well that for the most time, there's not a lot of women that will just go after and find a guy just for their bod and that's what they're going for, and that's what makes a relationship. No, of course, there's so much more that they want, and they need to find. Part of the reason, and I've read from a lot of psychology books, is because a woman wants to find a guy who is secure and confident and brave, right? And brings comfort to you, comfort to if you want to be, the father to her child. You want to conceive a child with them. Those are the kind of things why women like to see a man who is chiseled, like a rock, right? Because they want a guy who's in a good health. But in some cases, they know that some of those guys are going to be more concerned about their bodies than they are going to be about the women they're with. And, physical appeal can only go so far for you because there's got to be something more than just if the guy's got an empty noggin on his head and he has nothing else to give except some good looks and he might be good in bed. Otherwise, that's not going to last that long. Now, she says, I don't endorse, obviously, any form of deception on dating apps, but is wearing a mask seriously the biggest problem we need to be concerned about? What about woke fishing? If you want to know what woke fishing is, please go ahead and go back a few episodes and you'll know I've talked already about that. Or sexual harassment. Or men who think there's something special because they don't believe pineapple belongs on pizza. Well, I don't care if you have that on pizza. Just don't put it on mine. I can't speak for everyone, she says, but I know for a lot of women, we have to filter through plenty of bullshit on apps. That's more of a deal breaker than what's ever underneath someone's mask. And a reminder, in case anyone needs it, there are so many important things that factor into attraction to someone's ability to be a good partner beyond the appearance of the bottom half of their face. Right. But still, I don't like, it's already bad enough to have catfishing. So to go ahead and put somebody up there that is putting on a mask, you're just masking your identity. Why would you want to do that? And you're also not in front of somebody. I just think the idea of you're doing it just to be woke. If you're trying to do that and it's just to go and show that you're woke, you're an ally, we're all in this together kind of thing, there might be a couple of guys that might be into that, a couple of male feminists, sure. You might get a couple of those, but that's who you're going to get. But are you going to get the run-of-the-mill, natural, alpha male, dominant, caveman type? No, you're not going to get like that at all. Now, plus, she says, why are we assuming that people with masks on are trying to conceal something? If I saw this on a dating app, my personal assumption would be, this is a woman thinking, so it's not a man, which really, it's not the men doing it, it's the women doing it, if I would think so. And I'm just saying from the men's standpoint, because she's speaking for the women. I'm speaking for the men. If I saw this on a dating app, I would think the person's doing the bare minimum to show that they care about other people. Then in of itself is enough to get my libido talking. That is such horse shit. Fuck you. You are not believing that. The bare minimum to show they care about people and it will get her libido talking. She is not getting wet over a guy wearing a fucking mask, okay? You gotta be out of your mind. That is, listen, Taylor, love, babe, why would you put that in there? And there's the worst part. Then she gets in and goes along and says, and not to make things political, but to make things political, the oxymoron. In 2020, knowing if someone wears a mask believes the science behind why wearing a mask is super freaking important. Do you understand? Yeah, I got that. Then wear it on the fucking date. You do not need to show. Listen, anybody with a brain, if they're going out these days, they might need to wear a mask. They just might have a mask on them. So what does that do? Your music taste, favorite ice cream flavor, what you're Netflixing right now, that's for a friend. Babe, what are you thinking? You think music taste, favorite ice cream flavor, what you're Netflixing right now, that is important. So it says completely irrelevant to me if you can't get down with wearing a mask. The fuck is this? You gotta be kidding me. If you really think that, you think what's most important is, and I know I'm just going a little too far. I got it. But really, to just ask the random things, listen, they'll be friends and do the friend zone thing and then make the guy have to make the turnaround. Listen, if a woman wants a friend, that's one thing. I just wish women would just go ahead and be really more transparent about that and just say it. Let's just be blunt. You're not looking for you're not looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend. You're just looking to go ahead and meet new people. And there might be a chance that I might get a connection, but really, someone would like to go and think like that, but the truth is, those are the women I always decided to dodge because every time they kind of like just said, oh, I'm just looking for a friend. I used to go on the dating, the hotlines, the chat lines back in the day. Some of you whippersnappers don't know about this. Some of you youngins that listen to this show, 18, 20, 25, 30 years old, you don't know about the chat lines. Okay, that was a different story. And with that, there was a time we used to go ahead and get on there, and it would just be like a profile, but it would be listening to voicemails, and you would pick a voicemail of somebody you want, and it might be somebody you get to talk to live at that point because they're in the chat room. But the thing is that you'd always hear the same thing. Oh, I'm on here. I'm this and this, 5'5", 120 pounds, just looking for a friend. Let's looking for a friend. I always hear that, and I was just like, whatever. And it was just, okay, press 3, skip. You see, pressing the number 3 in your phone would have been like skipping. It was like Tinder on the phone. I'm surprised more people don't get into that, but oh well. Anyways, into the story here. If I see you in photos wearing a mask, I don't have to dive into the. So what are your thoughts on this whole COVID-19 thing whole? Who's asking about this shit? Asking about COVID-19. I thought we were supposed to be like about positive things, What do you like to go have, for dinner? What do you like to do for fun, right? Oh, are you still scared about COVID-19? Fuck off. Really? Such bullshit. It makes things much easier. I'm not saying you need to be wearing a mask in all your pictures. I'm not even saying you need a photo with a mask on. Then what are you trying to say? Why are you backtracking now? You just said you want a mask on a guy and you want him to be conscious about wearing a mask because it shows, and it makes you wet, right? It makes you orgasm. It makes you get a little hot under the panties. Okay, there, Taylor. All right. But I'm for sure not going to think less of you for wearing one. No, think less of them if they're not wearing one. If you meet them, okay. If you're so worried about being so germophobic right now, or being so concerned that you're going to catch COVID, fine. If they're not wearing a mask, leave. And expect them to have a mask when they're there. Or just say, if you think you need to do that, it's like, or think of going somewhere else outdoor where you're not worried about having to wear a mask and being able to socially distance. I don't know. And second of all, that's the other thing. How do you want to go and get together with somebody if there's social distancing? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to put like a stick in between you, like a broom handle in front of you so you can like keep you two apart? What are you going to do, Taylor? I love a woman like this. It's just so overthinking this, And I don't know how old she is. I don't know who she is. But God bless her. I hope that she realizes that she's going way too far on this, or she realizes she's putting out a story just to really put people over the top and make them sound like idiots, or feel like idiots for listening to you and listening to your advice. Because by all means, do not take this woman's advice. She is full of shit. I'm just telling you. I'm going to leave it there. I'll talk to you next time.